Good morning. I'm Lisa with the Taunton Area Chamber, and I would like to turn this over to Kris with Relaxation Works. She's going to be doing a webinar on Slack.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming on the webinar today. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Liz. It's so great to see you. One thing when we are doing this presentation today, this is based off of the free version, not the pro version. And you can ask questions along the way, so please do not hesitate to interrupt. I love questions, especially when we're on topic. But with that said, if you want to hold your question to the end as well, that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of start this so that we can really start to understand how to communicate with Slack and how to use that in a way that really kind of helps everyone on your team. So I do realize that I'm showing you something where we are in Canva, but I just wanted to kind of show you exactly what it means to have good communication. This little kid with the playing telephone, if you remember that, kind of things can change along the way if you do not have clear communication. So there's going to be some major categories that we're going to cover today in Slack, which is channels, threads, and integrations. So if you have ever used Slack, I'm hoping to teach you at least one or two new things today. If you've never used Slack, you're going to learn how to set up your account and where everything is based. So I've actually gone ahead and set up a completely new Slack because we do have sensitive information, obviously, within our own team. But I'm also going to show you some things within the Slack that we do use within our company so that you can see how that integrates in real time. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of open up Slack and see where we're at. If you already have a Slack account, if you could log into that just so that you have access if you want to learn in real time, or you can just follow along on the screen, whatever works for you. First things first, how is my sound? Am I muffled or too low or too high? And can you hear my music in the background that's keeping me calm?
You sound good, and I do not hear your music in the background.
Okay, great. Just me. Great. I love that. Okay. So let's go and share that screen. Where are we? Here we go. All right. So I've gone ahead and I'll go back there. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. This one. Does it say Relaxation Works in the upper left, or does it say Relaxation Works Skincare?
Can you
Nothing?
enlarge it a little bit? It's a bit small.
Okay. Let me see about that. Oh,
Maybe
1
it's just
second,
on
guys.
mine.
That's okay.
So I have an appointment with Jen.
Okay. So downstairs, is the door locked? So just wait a couple of minutes. She's just running behind and then she'll unlock the door and I'll Slack her.
Where should
Downstairs, and it's right near the handicap ramp.
Okay.
And then that will be the door that you go in. I am so sorry about that. You're welcome. Enjoy your session. Okay, guys. 2 floors to our spa. That happens sometimes. Sorry about that. Let's try this one. Where did it go? It was working a second ago. 1 sec. So first things first, what we're going to do is just as I figure that out, I just want to kind of go over what Slack is and how that is going to really be able to open up what's happening with your team. So Slack is a team collaboration and communication platform. It really is there to replace traditional email because it offers real-time messaging, file sharing and integrates with a lot of other apps like Google Drive, Asana, or Monday if you use that as well. And it really functions as a centralized workspace where teams can communicate more efficiently, reducing clutter in your inbox and ensuring that the important conversations are filed away easily. So the reason why I love Slack is because I used to, I've experienced what it's like not to have clear communication. You know, when you have those sticky notes that get lost from another team member that was on your desk and somehow ended up on the back of a piece of paper. I've also experienced, you know, a client standing in front of me and I didn't get that message that that staff member wasn't coming in for the day. And now I have to deal with that, you know, client in front of me being able to either turn them away or reschedule them or something like that. So experiencing where you have that real clear communication and being able to refer back to things is so important. And the reason why I love Slack is the efficiency. You know, email, and I know this might sound redundant, but when you do those like reply all emails where everyone needs to know that everyone understands what's going on, when you're getting 6, 10, 20, 30 emails just with yes, that can be very overwhelming and clutter the inbox. So just being able to use a simple emoji for saying, yep, I totally get what you're saying, you know, and then moving on is so efficient. And just the pure action of being able to physically put out an emoji versus a response even saves time. So anything where I can save time is what I want to do. All right. This one and then this one. Where is Slack? Here we go. This is the one I'm looking for. Does it say Relaxation Works Skincare in the top left there? And you said to make it a little bit bigger. And that's. There we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So first things first, we are going to go to Slack. There we go. And when you sign up for Slack, you're going to create your workspace. It's very straightforward. All you're going to do is upload a picture of yourself and be able to name your workspace. And then this is where you will come to. So a couple of things with kind of setting up your team and what that looks like. Right now, I am a team of one in this Slack, so I haven't added anyone or anything like that. First things first, you always want to upload a photo, not a photo of your dog, although cute. You need a photo of yourself, especially if you're working with new team members that come on board. They need to know who they are working with. So in our company, you have to upload a picture of yourself. That's just how that goes. So first things first, we're in the home screen where Slack is happening. And what we want to do is go through and see where can we start organizing everything. Everything about Slack is about the channels. Yes, you can direct message back and forth, but everything is about the channels. The channels is where everything is organized, and that is really going to depend on how your business runs or how your team is going to run. So I'm going to go back to our Slack that we use here at the spa, just so you can see what that might look like. There we go. So channels for us are a few different things. Being able to have channels that you can just put fun things in helps build team culture. Okay. You do not want to be cluttering up your very important company announcements channel with pictures of, you know, cute Toby, my dog. And that just doesn't really help with the flow of efficiency. So we have something called All That Jazz. You could call it, you know, a fun zone or something like that, but that's where all the fun stuff goes. For instance, photos of people, you know, our staff, or this, you know, Debbie saying cucumber lowers stress levels. I think that's really funny. Or this one where when you just give up on trying to fold that fitted sheet. I mean, for the spa industry, these are hilarious. Some other things that we use in channels are back bar inventory management. And the reason why we have all these different channels is, and we're going to explain this later, is because some of these channels are private and some of these channels are public. And you really want to determine that when you first start. So determining who is going to have access to those channels is how you will also save time and efficiency. Being able to make sure that the information is in the right place. We have learned that a handful or about 10 or under channels work best for us. If you get too nitty gritty, things can get a little bit lost. Or if you thrive in that type of environment, then I say go hog wild and do that. But for us, we find about 10 channels really works best for running our company. So things like back bar inventory management. I have a team that runs inventory management within the spa. We have management on the retail side, and then we have management on the back end, for all the services that we offer. So those are two completely different things. And so we need to have information coming and going about that. So that's in that channel. Things like if something's broken, that really sounds kind of redundant, but here, when you have multiple people utilizing the same objects, it's good to know when something needs to be replaced so that it's not still sitting there broken. So we even have a channel for that. So things like that can be really helpful in a physical space. Also in a digital space where you're working more remotely or working within your team, that's where you might go more into like sales, marketing, working on specific projects and things like that. So there's the world is your oyster when it comes to this, right? So many different ways that you can do it. So we're going to go back.
Kris, I just have a quick question.
Yes.
On the channels, I see to the left that some have like a lock and some have a hashtag. Do you know what the difference is there?
Yes. So hashtags are public. Locks are teams. So that's how you know which one is public for the entire company and which one is really for specific people that you're adding to. And then we're going to cover that actually right now so that you can learn how to do that and why that's so important. There's going to be two reasons why that is important. When you are setting up your Slack channel and you want to increase communication, you want to make sure that you don't have to do redundant tasks. So you don't want to have to, like every time you add a new team member, you need to add them to all the appropriate channels. There are going to be some channels within Slack that are just for the entire company. So if you set that up correctly from the beginning, you never have to worry about that again. Versus if you have someone who comes in that is for a very specific reason in your business or a very specific like team, that's where that channel you're going to add them specifically, and not everyone has access to that. And that means that everyone's Slack is going to look different, because if they don't have access to that channel, it's not going to show up here. Now, it shows up here for me because I'm the owner and I'm in every single channel that we have here. Whereas someone else, these locked channels, they won't even see that those exist. Okay. So let's go over and start doing that now. There we go. and it should say Relaxation Works Skincare in your upper left. Can you just let me know if that's correct or not?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, so we've created our workspace. We've done that. You're going to use your work email, and then when you create your workspace and you put in your email, it always needs a verification code. So just know that you're always going to need access to your email to get that code so that you can come in and make things move more efficiently, not slowly at all. So now you want to add team members, right? If you want to add coworkers and team members, there's two ways that you can do this. You can go right to add coworker. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you. Hopefully that works. Add coworker, and you can either put in their name, put in their email, or you can go down here and send them the copy invite link. So that's totally up to you how you want to do that. We typically, because we have a lot of things that we do here, involve inviting people, to Slack and Asana and things like that. We always have their email, so we just do it that way. I'm not going to be inviting anyone today, so I'm going to X out, but if I would just hit the send button at the bottom. And then that way, that's another way that you can get access to different workplaces. So, if Lisa's in the chamber, her and her team in the chamber are using that, but say Lisa wants to bring me on for a special project that we're doing for the chamber, and they want to make me an ambassador that's with the chamber, part of that. So I can go on to her workspace, but also have my own workspace for Relaxation Works. So you can have multiple workspaces, no problem. So first things first, we're going to create our first channel. This is going to be on the left-hand side, and it says add channels. So it's going to create a new channel. Now, when you are working with this, I will tell you, I am all about simple. I like to do everything from a blank slate because I get kind of lost in when people give me templates. But if templates are your jam and you love that, there's a lot of templates here that show you what you could use to do that. So we're going to just use a blank channel. We do next. We're going to name the channel. So this is for our skincare line. And what would be one thing we would do? Sending out samples. So I would say we might have a channel that's listed under samples. This right here is where you're going to find it to be public or private. This is very important where you make this distinction because it will save you time in the long run. So I'm going to make this private because this really isn't a company-wide thing. This is something that would be specific for this project. So we're going to hit create. And then who do I want to add to this project? And once you have your team built, then you add those people. If you were to make this public, this would skip this step because it automatically adds everyone. So we're going to do skip for now. And now you'll see on the left-hand side, it says sample. And so now we have our channels. We're going to pretend that's all the channels I need for this company. And now we want to be able to start to kind of move and shake within these channels. So this is where I'm going to say that I want to send samples to people on this Google Sheets list. We're probably about to do 3 or 4 things in this one channel right now, so pay attention. I am going to link some third-party apps right now so that we can start to integrate Slack into those apps. I did not add them prior, but no, in our Relaxation Works Spa Slack, we've already updated everything. So the first things first, I want to be able to link a Google Sheet, right? So I'm going to just go to my Google and I'm going to grab the link to just this presentation. I know you can't see me doing this, but I'm going to my Google Doc and I'm just getting the link for this presentation and I'm copying the link. So now I'm coming back into Slack and I'm going to paste it. And I do everything with the keyboard, so it's Control V for paste. In Slack, whenever you want to send a message, the enter button sends it. Here's a hot tip. So you might want to write this down. If you want to keep typing, just hit the shift button and then the enter button. And now I can go down without keep sending it and sending it and sending it. So when I do this, Slack is going to know that that's a link and it's going to ask me right there. You can see that. Hey, it looks like this is from Google Drive. Do you want to hook up Google Drive with Slack? So I'm going to say yes, install. But I will show you an alternative before I do that where you can do that. So down here on the left-hand side at the bottom, it says add apps. That's where all these apps are at that you can just add right in. So your most popular third-party apps that you use, you can do it right here. Okay, so Google Drive, we're going to add. It's going to bring you to this. Just taking a minute. And this is where you would add this, add to Slack. And allow. It's taking a minute there. It might have me put in my, here we go, access. Sounds good. Okay. I think I have to sign in with Google and things like that, but I just wanted to show you that's how you do that. So we're going to go back. Okay. So your first channel, you know, we're giving something that we want to do here. We want to be able to get on this list, in this Google Sheets list. We'll pretend that there's 100 people on there that we're going to send samples of our product out to. So whoever's on my team in this channel will be able to know how to access it. So now they don't have to be going looking for the list. And now I want to show you how to work within your DMs and channels so that you can find a few things that you might not know about. Every time that you post something, you will start to notice on the right-hand side, this pop-up has a little green check mark, those little eyeballs right there. Does everyone see that? Yes?
Yes.
Thanks, Nicole. You're the best. All right. So this is another command post where you can do a lot of things within Slack. First things first, you can reply in a thread. Replying in a thread is really important because it keeps everything organized. So instead of like, think of a text message, if you start to do something in a text message, you just kind of keep going back and forth, where a thread almost does like a subcategory where now you're just talking about that one post, and you can still go back and do whatever you got to do in this channel. So threads are great for that. We do use those here at the spa quite a bit. You can forward this message to someone else. So I'll give you an example. You know, if one of my team members reaches out to my manager and then has a conversation and now she wants to bring something up to me, instead of writing it all over again, she might just forward that message to me in a private DM. The other thing you can do is save this for later. So if I come in and I see that, you know, someone's told me that I had to do this task, I could always put a reminder in Slack to do that. So when you hit save for later, it adds it to your later category. I don't know if you just saw that, but on your left-hand side of the screen, way over here where later is, a few stars just lit up. And that's now on my later task. And you can see where I am hovering over later, and it's showing me what's there. The other thing that you can do is you can add that to a list. I've never done that before, to be quite honest. We don't use that. So that might be a pro feature that I don't know about. So remember, we're only talking about free options that are offered in Slack for today. And then these three little dots on the side are very important. I use these quite often. You can copy the link. So if you want to like copy this link and send it to someone else, you can do that. You can pin this to the channel. So if this is something very important that you want to keep coming back to, you can pin it. What I love, the two features I love are marking it as unread, because for me, I leave, if I see something come through, like, you know how on your notifications on your phone, it can pop up and it's either sitting on your home screen, but you haven't really looked at it per se. Sometimes I like to just look at it, get an understanding, and know, okay, this really isn't important right now, but I need to come back to it. I will keep it marked as unread. And that's my reminder to come back to it. And then also you can edit the message. So if I was like, oh, I wanted to say something different, or I forgot to add so-and-so, you can just hit edit, do whatever you need to do here, and then be good to go. And then where is, let me find, there was one that you could add it to a task. Oh, I know why. Okay. We're going to go back to add apps, guys. Stay with me. Stay with me. So I want to add in Asana. Asana is something that we use within our business. And this is amazing because you can actually add a task from a message in Slack and create a task in Asana, which is great. So I'm going to allow that. Allow. If this works, great, great. If not, I'm going to go over to our spa Slack and show you there. Okay. Wait one sec. Yes. And you're seeing Relaxation Works on the upper left and the little fitted sheet lady doing her strut, I hope.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So if you want to add something as a task to Asana, these three dots that we just covered, you're going to click on that. And down here on the bottom left, it says add, create a task. So it just took that entire message with the link and everything and allows me to update Asana with the name of the task, who is assigned to it, and what project, okay, and a due date. So I just wanted to show you that because a lot of times when we are working within Slack, there might be another step that has to happen for the organizational piece there. So one of the things about building your team and staying organized with channels is Slack's ability to streamline communication and improve organization. So, you know, the channels is really where we're going to start to be able to categorize by department, project, or the function of what you're trying to do. So think about your own company and really either what type of teams you have or what type of projects you're working on that you want it to be very specific. You could create channels and then delete them later. You can have temporary channels where, you know, I'll give you an example. You could have a channel that just says events, but maybe if you're working on a really big project where it has just a lot of detail, a lot of back and forth, we'll say the Taste of Taunton. You could create a channel that was just for the Taste of Taunton, and then anything and everything that happens within that channel is just for that event. So it doesn't matter. It just matters what works best for you. And it does take a little bit of time to understand how everyone flows within the team to utilize that. So some popular channel names would be announcements, like company announcements, the All That Jazz channels, at least a place where you can put silly things. It really does help with company culture, especially if you're working remotely or you don't see your coworkers on a regular basis. I really have found that that channel has really helped out a lot. Marketing, sales, customer support, and like product development, things like that. And then we talked about threads a little bit, but again, threads is really where you're able to keep that conversation moving without interrupting the entire channel. So I do find that when you're trying to integrate Slack with third-party apps, you just want to make sure that you are still utilizing those integrations. So like utilizing Google Sheets and Google Docs for us is really important because we use that probably 90% of the time is Google. That's where we keep all of our information, printouts. A lot of client information is used so that we can kind of keep track of our efforts that way. And responses from our email marketing, we download those types of information and then keep track of it that way so that we have the data. So any questions so far before I continue to move forward? Nope. Okay.
No, no questions.
Sounds good. All right, so we've kind of gone over the why and the how, right? I'm going to just move our share here so we're on a different screen. Try that one. One second, guys. So now I want to talk about how to create best practices for your team so that things can remain organized, because everyone does things differently. But as the company head or the person in charge of doing this, you want to make sure that everyone's following the same rules here. So whenever we have a new hire come on, we actually have part of the training is how to utilize Slack because it is such an important piece to running our company. So a couple of things, and if you noticed here on the left-hand side, you can see since the last time that I showed you this screen, some things have updated. Some things are in bold now. Some things have numbers next to them over here on the left-hand side. And that's very important to know because that is where all the new information is waiting for you to go and find. So a lot of times we found in the first, I would say almost like 6 months of using Slack, that our team was not getting all the messages. And I could not understand for the life of me why. And then I found out why. And that is because anytime that you have a direct message or something that is more of like from Slack itself, like, oh, you've added a third-party app to Slack or something like that, it will have a number next to it. So, and that's great because that's where you know, okay, I have messages waiting for me there. But then there's another piece. There are places which are the channels that new information is going to, but it does not have numbers next to it. It's just highlighted. And if you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll see social media content is in bold white versus the other channels. And my team didn't know that. They just thought, well, if it has a number next to it, that's a new message. And I mean, I remember one person, she almost had one unread messages in like every single channel. So, one time we looked at the announcements channel and she had something like 15 announcements to go looking through. So you want to make sure that there's some sort of either training or, reviewing of how to utilize Slack for your team. So once I click on these bold content over here, it will start to go away because now you've checked it. But this is also where if I go to check something like this social media content and the Slack bot, which is Slack, told me that if I wanted to like remember that, I guess because it's Slack, I can't do that, but we'll use myself as one. If I wanted to remember that, I just go back there and make it mark as unread. And that really helps me to remember to come back to it. So I'm going to just kind of check through all these. So this is all gone, all gone. Okay. Very good. So let's talk about how you're going to organize things for yourself. Number one, you have to let people know how Slack actually works. You would be surprised. I'm talking about sometimes 5 to 6 team members did not know that there were unread messages. So just know if it's happening more than 1 or 2 people, that's probably something that you should really address. The other thing is going to be, how are you going to keep track of messages or information within your team and that they have fully understood what you're putting out there? So for us here at Relaxation Works, one of the things you have to do is anytime I put out some sort of company announcement, you have to represent that you understand that by using your favorite emoji. That way I know, okay, you've read it, you've understood it, and we're good to go. That just kind of also helps with engagement within your team so that they know that you are watching. You can't just like read something and then walk away from it. I will say that's what I really love about Slack, is it kind of helps with that versus getting an email back that just says yes. That's where that emoji piece will really come into play really nicely. So you can also customize your notifications. So you can customize it where you get notifications at certain places on your phone or on Slack. You can also put yourself on Do Not Disturb. You can put yourself in a Slack, like I'm going to go back to the spa Slack right now because there is something I do want to show you on there about this. Not everyone knows this, but I own the building that my business is in, which means there's a lot of maintenance that happens, and that's Mr. Relaxation Works' job. So he has his own Slack, but like he also has a regular job. So he doesn't go in and check that. It's always sitting there for him, but I'm not going to expect him to like emoji that he's read that. So if we go into maintenance, you'll see here, he can turn on his notifications that it's on Do Not Disturb, meaning he will never get a notification about it. But once he comes back from his regular job, he goes in on his own and checks it to see if there's anything waiting there for him. So there's ways about that you can really utilize the notifications so that you're not getting bombarded with information. I will tell you personally how the way that I use Slack, in my life in general, my phone is always on silent and I do not have notifications turned on for social, email, nothing. I have to go and check it. And I really like that because it leads to a peaceful life. If you need to get a hold of me, you will call the spa and someone will get me. But other than that, I do not need my phone dinging 24/7. With that said, you can make yourself active within Slack. So if you are part of that team where the team member needs to know if you're available to get a hold of them, then you can set yourself as active or away or something like that. But you really want to make sure that you are having these conversations with your team so that everyone is following the same rules, and they really should be written out somewhere. Probably even to the point where maybe they're in Slack where you can pin it or something like that. the next few things we're going to talk about is how you can start to utilize this as a text, almost like a communication app, like for your phone, because here we used to add people to text messages and then we'd utilize that or call them from our phone, but then we couldn't keep track of like text messages, and it was like we had way too many places to check things. So instead, what we do is we use the huddle feature for Slack, which essentially is a phone. So you can video call or phone call from Slack to your team member and then have a face-to-face or in-person on the fly combo versus typing something back and forth. So I want to show you that real quick within this Slack, because I don't have other team members in the new one I just created. Let's go to Debbie. If you look at Debbie on the upper left, you'll see that she has a little green dot. That means she's active. That means she's available and I could, communicate with her. Okay, so now we're going to find Huddle. This is what they call it. They call it a huddle. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like a football term, but that's how it goes. So she's probably going to be like, why are you calling me? On the bottom left, she may or may not pick up, I'm not sure. On the bottom, first of all, it's going to say that we are on a live huddle and we are trying to contact Debbie right now. I have noticed with Slack, because I'm actively like calling her right now, it does sometimes have a delay. So her not picking up, I think, has more to do with like it's still trying to get a hold of her. But you can video call, you can have a phone conversation. I love this because I don't have to give out my private phone number. I don't need to get a phone number from someone. Everything is in the same place. I can video chat or not video chat. I typically don't video chat, but that's how that goes. You can also share your screen right in Slack right now. So that's another great thing. It's almost like a Zoom within Slack. So if you're working on something and you need like an approval or anything like that, you can go that way. So now it says you're the only one in the huddle. So she's not there. It's playing music for me, which is nice, but I'm going to leave this and leave Debbie alone. And she's probably downstairs actually, guys. So there was one other thing I wanted to, clips. You can actually send a video clip. I'm sorry, like an audio clip about like, hey, I reviewed your project. I'd like you to change this, this, and this. Thanks so much. That's really good if you're on the go. That's really good if you're the type of team member that thinks quickly and wants to get it done and out, and you don't have time to talk, or if you're in a situation that you can't type it out, typing it out, not talking, then that's a really great option for that. So just know there are different ways you can communicate with your team other than just typing things in the channel. And the other thing about maintaining the Slack etiquette, that's what we call it here, is it really does help to maintain a positive work environment and encouraging the use of emojis really helps with reducing excessive messages. We talk a lot about like, you don't have to @ people all the time. And then I just lost my train of thought, sorry. Oh yeah, you don't have to @ people all the time. Like if they're in the message, they understand that they're getting that, right? @ meaning like putting their @ symbol. So down here at the bottom, you put the actual @ symbol and then you start typing someone's name. And that's how you will be able to highlight them at the bottom so that you're really talking specifically to them. So I want to show you what that looks like so that it's clear and why you would want to use something like that. Let's go. I'm going to do shift turnover real quick. Okay, here's an example. Oh, I got to send this anyway, so we'll send that. Last night, one of my people, Miss Alexa, did a job fair for us. And as she was at the job fair, she sent us photos of what she
got it.
was doing. And we got to talk right back at her, like, looks great, best table, all that stuff. Also, in shift turnover, when shift turnover for us, just clear about this because this is something you can use for your business or your company, is shift turnover is what did I work on or what needs to happen kind of before the next shift happens. So that's what shift turnover is for. This is a private channel. There's only 3 people in this channel in my team. And because the entire company does not need access to this shift turnover. I'm trying to, oh yes, here's an example. So in shift turnover, I needed to talk to Alexa about something, but I also want my entire team to know what's going on. So what happens is I will @ Alexa, and you can see it's in blue. And that's what I mean by using the @ symbol. So @ and then you start putting your team member in, and then they know now they're going to get a message that there is something there specifically for them. So that's really where adding someone really works well in a channel, because you might have, for us in shift turnover, we might have 10 or 15 items that we have to put in there, but maybe one of those items is specifically for Alexa. So instead of going all the way back and DMing her separately, it's really within a channel where work needs to get done. So it keeps it organized that way. There are 2 shortcuts that I want to show you today so that you can really utilize messaging a little bit better. So the first shortcut, we're going to go all the way down at the bottom here now, is we already talked about one, is when you start typing, I'm going to start typing at the bottom here, and then you have to do the shift enter key on your keyboard so you can go to the next line. Not everyone knows that, but that's really good because other than that, you constantly have to just keep pressing enter, and then the messages end up being very choppy. The other thing is, especially in shift turnover, we like to bullet point it, so because it's more of like a task. They used to have bullet points down here on the bottom where all these grayed out options are. They no longer have that, but we found a workaround. So you use the dash sign and then a space bar, and it turns into a bullet point, which I love. And then you do the shift enter and it goes to the next line with a bullet point, shift enter, next line. So just so you know that. Okay. Now say this beautiful message that I have here. I could send it now, which is on the bottom right, send now, return. Okay. Or this little arrow to the right of that, I could schedule this for later. They give me 2 options, and Slack always does this, gives you 2 options, or I could do a custom time. So now if I, for some odd reason, want to send this message later, I can most certainly do that. I pick the day, the time, and then schedule the message. Okay. So then it's sitting there for the message to be scheduled. Any questions about that so far?
Actually, can you show that again really quick, how you do the scheduled message?
So we write our message. You go all the way over to the bottom, bottom right with the arrow pointing down. And it pops up. And you can either choose the 2 options they give you, or you can do custom time. And do it that way, and then you schedule the message. I find, so for someone like myself who I go in and check Slack, but most everyone else on my team doesn't do that. They get notifications like right then and there. This is amazing for when you have an idea that's off hours, or you're like, wow, it's like 11 o'clock at night and I cannot be sending this message right now. You know, you can schedule it. So it can be useful for things like that. Oh, and then the other thing is drafts. I love this about Slack. So here's an example, shift turnover. This is where it replaces a notepad, essentially. Anything that I'm doing throughout the day that I have a notepad that I'm like, okay, I got to do this later. Okay, I need to tell Debbie about this. Oh yeah, I got to do that. I just put it in my message right here. Schedule message. What's another one that I'll kind of do this for you? So it looks this way. I don't know, bring bowls up from downstairs, whatever. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go check on something else. And then I go to all that jazz or whatever. Where is that message? It's either still in shift turnover, because I just went back, or it's in your drafts and sent. So you can create a draft of something and just have it sitting there for as long as you want. I will say, when you are toggling between Slack on your phone and Slack on desktop, sometimes like the draft is still sitting there and you've already sent it. So just be cognitive of that. I've noticed that a couple of times. I think it's a glitch within the system, but I just go ahead and make sure that the message got sent and delete wherever it's kind of sitting in drafts in the other one. We use Slack. All team members have it on their phone, but then our admin team uses it on their phone and desktop. Just so you know that and have access to that. I really do suggest everyone downloading it on their phone though, because the whole point of this is if you're working and you're the type of team member that is working on the fly, or you're returning phone calls or you're looking at your email while you're not at work or things like that, then you're probably going to need Slack for your phone too. And then for desktop, you just download it. It will give you the option if you want it for the desktop, and I do highly suggest that. And you also want to make sure that you turn your notifications on desktop. Trying to think other things that we've used, files and things like that. You can upload files, which is really good. So like all your files will be located in one place. If that works for you. The other thing is being able to search. Searching in Slack is really good because, a lot of times Debbie and I will be working on something and she'll say, oh yeah, where did we put that information? We can just search in Slack and it will come up. There's one caveat to that, and something that we have to talk about, and this is in the paid version versus the free version. In the free version, the whole thing about it being free is you only have access to your information for a very limited time. It will retain the information, but you only have access to it for a small amount of time, which is about 30 days. So for us, everything kind of reboots after 30 to 45 days. So with that said, if that is why we really like using the third-party apps like Asana and Google Doc, because when it comes to really running your business and really kind of keeping that information in files, you want to keep those outside of Slack, because then they'll just disappear, right? But Slack, that's why it's really good for the communication piece and moving forward and keeping that information going. If you are running a company or part of a team where you need to have access to that type of information, you need to have, you need to know what people said when, then I would pay for the pro version. We've never paid for the pro version because we've built the company that we don't have to rely on Slack for that. But if that is something that you would want to do, I highly suggest doing that as well. So here's a way that we get around that. There's only a few things here that we do that in Slack that I'm like, oh, I wish we had that. And a lot of times it has to do with staff issues. A staff member reaching out to my admin team saying this, that, or the other thing, maybe about, their schedule or anything like that. That is why we have a system set in place that they actually have to we keep track of that in a Google Doc. So if it's something that really sticks out to us that we need to kind of refer back to, we'll keep track of that in like a staff incident report or staff concerns or something. I forget what we call that doc, but at least that way we still have the information that we need so that we have it to refer back to. And it really doesn't take that much longer. And the way that I deal with it is, you know, Debbie, who takes care of most of the staff issues here, I'll say, oh, just add that to the doc. And then that's all she does. She just copy, paste, put a date, and keep moving. So there are ways around it that will still allow you to use this and go from there. What questions do you have?
So, I have a couple things. So number one, I know you had mentioned the do not disturb, and I wasn't clear about how to set that up. I feel like that'd be useful for like when you're on vacation, and you don't want to keep getting the notifications. And the second thing was, like, what are the main differences between Slack and Teams? Like, I'm guessing it's the channels, but I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've never used Teams, but just having a slight understanding of what Teams is and how Teams works. I think it's going to be the channels. The channels are game changers because you're really teaching the people around you, this is how things are going to be organized. Like, I can't tell you how many people in my organization come up to me and say, oh, this is broken. Okay, here you go. This is broken. They see me, they want to give it to me. They want to, or they come up to me and say, oh, about my schedule, but XYZ. My brain cannot compute that. Like, I cannot deal with that right now. I'm doing something else. So the way that I handle that is we have a broken channel. So I say, okay, great. Go put it in the broken basket in the spot. And now go add that to the broken channel. I'm not adding it. I'm doing something else. So everyone in my organization knows pretty much Slack is the only, if it's information about anything, it goes in Slack. So it's also a, like a learning tool for your team to really keep things organized so everyone in the organization knows how it works. And because I own the organization, it needs to work best for me first so that I can be the best leader and team member that way. So for me, this is why Slack works so well, is because of the channels. I have really made my business so that everything is kept track of so that when I need to go and take care of something, it's sitting there waiting for me and I don't have to recall it from my memory. So that's probably, I'm going to say, the most important thing is the channels, and then keeping things organized with the certain people that need access to that. So I'll tell you, like, getting messages all day long is annoying. It really is. I don't need to be interrupted all day. And being able to have channels where only the people that need to know have access to that really makes an effective and enjoyable work environment. You know, part of what we're doing here too is like, how can we improve the work environment so that everyone it's straight to the point, it's effective, it's efficient, and they don't feel like it's a waste of time. And that is one of the big things I have about emails. I think it's a waste of time. The reply all feature drives me absolutely insane. And with Slack, you have just a more efficient way of communicating within an organization. I'm not sure about Teams when it comes out of email, like how that works. So I hope that answered your question. I forget your other question.
Oh, the other question was how to do the do not disturb, how to set that up in Slack.
Thank you. Yes. Because I don't have it turned on, you and I are gonna find out together. Oh, I think this bottom, let's see, the bottom left. Yes, I found it. Okay. Bottom left, I'm gonna try to make this bigger for you. Okay. Ooh, hey, hey. Bottom left is my little photo. We click on it.
I'm not seeing your screen.
Oh, thank you. I apologize.
Okay.
Do you
Yep.
see it now? Yes. Bottom left, my little picture, you click on it, and this is where you update your status, set yourself as away, or pause notifications. This is also where you can set up your profile, preferences. So this has more to do with you and how you are forward facing within the organization. So right now I'm set as active, which you can see as a green dot and it says active. You can also update your status to kind of be like, this is what I'm doing right now, because I will say, especially if you were working remotely, if you are building an organization where like you're used to having that, they have complete access to you, or they're used to you responding right away, then this is why this works really good, because then at least gives them a heads up of like when you're going to be getting back to them without you having to do anything, right? So that's nice. The other thing is like if you're out sick for the day or, then they know not to bother you and they can schedule their message to you later, or they can just send it and they'll know why you're not getting back to it. Something along those lines. What was the other thing I wanted to show you? So there's that, updating your status. You can set yourself as away, which in the Relaxation Works Slack, I'm always just away. And then pause notifications. You can do that with custom and other options they give you. And I don't know what preferences are. Oh. So this is another great option about notifications and how you want to set that up. And I will say this is where like notify me about all messages, direct messages, or nothing. Because I don't get notifications, I just always have it on nothing, but that does not mean that all your left-hand side, like the DMs that are going to have numbers next to them, the channels that are going to be highlighted because there's new messages waiting for you, that is still going to be there. It just means you're not going to get an actual notification on your phone in like that summary.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah. And there's other things you can do in here, but I don't do them. So we will kind of, that's something you can definitely play with in appearance and stuff like that, messages. Any other questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. When you first log on, you can see at the bottom here where it says Slack needs your permission to enable notifications. I would suggest that you put that on for your desktop. And that's what this is for. It's for your desktop version, not the mobile version.
Okay.
But like I said, Slack is in the App Store for both Android and iOS for Apple. And it's free. You would just log in with your the same email address that you used on your desktop, and it's going to want you to send, it really is very good about security. So it's constantly sending you these verification number code things to your email to make sure it's you, which I appreciate, to be quite honest. So that's good. And that's really it, guys. I can open up for questions, or yeah, we can end now. It's really up to you. Those are good questions though, Lisa.
Thank you. No, I mean, I learned a few new things. I didn't know about the huddle. I didn't know about the audio clips, and about scheduling the message times and the draft. So definitely learned a few things I didn't know before.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say those two shortcuts are really important, which is the Shift Enter, so you can go
Yep.
down to the next line, and creating bullet points, especially if you're trying to list something out visually, it really works well. And being able to @ someone in a message in a channel where like you're trying to talk to multiple people, adding them really helps, because if that's like a task that they need to do, then they can go in and take care of that themselves, and it shows up on that left-hand column.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. Well,
Well,
thank
you,
you.
Lisa.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.